Welcome to kind of a special edition webinar about the Race Day Check-in app. This is going to be a Q&A format. So a lot of you may have attended an earlier kind of introduction to the Race Day Check-in app a month or so ago and have wanted to come back and ask more pointed questions, or maybe you've had a chance to dive in to the app and want to find out more. So the format of this is going to be largely Q&A. And what that means is that we're kind of hoping that you'll be asking the questions. So in the little toolbar for GoToWebinar, there's a question tool. Myself, Matt Avery will introduce herself in a second, and then James Harris are all in that queue looking at those questions and socializing those. So while we kind of get started, please, if you came with questions ready, put them in there and we'll kind of start looking at that. But as we start out here, it's going to be pretty straightforward. So I think we'll introduce ourselves. My name is Soren Larson. I'm a senior technical account manager here on the Race Day team.
Hey, I'm Matt Avery. I'm the product manager for all of our event day applications. It includes the Race Day Check-in app. So I make sure that all of your awesome suggestions get made into features and put into the app, and our releases go out on time.
Nice. So we'll start with just kind of a quick note here. And this is going to answer hopefully a couple questions right off the bat, because this was a common one that we've seen. For you to be able to search for your race in the check-in app, you must enable a couple settings on the RunSignup, meaning the platform side of things, before it appears there. To do that, you'd go to Race Day Tools, Race Day Check-in, mobile app. You must have a password set here. Please do not use your RunSignup password for this. And it's actually best to have your hint be the same as your password. It sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but you really want to do that because the only people who will be able to get in here and see this are people who have this level of access to your dashboard. Meaning you, and also meaning support if you need us to look at something. So please take those two things into consideration there. The other thing there is that date range determines whether or not the race will be seen in the check-in app. So if you're looking to test things, make sure that date is at least before the date you're testing. And as far as like when to disable it, generally speaking, it's not a good idea to disable that before 15-20 minutes after the start of your last event of the day, just in case people kind of show up late. You don't really want to scramble any more than you have to. Big note on that. The other thing to be aware of here is if you have your race on RunSignup previously and have renewed it, the renewal of the race does not change the previously input data there. So if I renew my 2024 race, it will still have a check-in range in 2024. So I will need to update those pieces there. So this is a pretty important one, and usually kind of the first stumbling block we see if someone's having trouble getting into the check-in app. So without further ado, I see a couple questions coming in, and let's chat.
Yeah, I can grab this one if you like. So we had a great question from Tammy, and they say, "Hi, I'm wondering how to change the bib numbers during registration. We already gave someone a bib number. We assign the bib numbers during registration and like to keep it that way." So this is totally supported in the check-in app. You don't have to do what we call dynamic bib assignment, where you start the day without any bibs assigned. You can absolutely pre-assign bibs and then just confirm that they showed up. You can clear the bib numbers, and you can also update the bib numbers. This is two different ways to kind of do the same thing in the app. Both of them have to be done through presets. And if you have done some reading and research on how to use a check-in app, presets are a really core functionality of this software. Basically, it's a way to change what you can do and what is displayed for participants of a certain event. So if you have a 5K and a 10K, you might want the 5Ks to show certain data and the 10Ks to show different data. So basically, in the app, you have to go in and update the presets that are in use for all of the events in your race. And you would just go into there, and then you can enable under, I think it's called update participant info, under the preset, under, let's see, information changes. So there's a little area you can open up called information changes. And in there, you can check a box that says allow bib number edits. And there's also one in there that says allow clear bib. So there's two paths. You can either have them clear the bib and then assign the bib through the normal flow, or you can allow bib number edits. When you do that, a new button will appear and it'll say update participant info. So when you look someone up, it'll say update participant info. You can tap that and then it will allow you to change the current bib assignment right on that screen. Or if you checked the box to allow clear bib, it'll show a button on the screen that says clear bib or something along those lines, and then you can just assign the bib.
I'll grab the next two there. I've got a question from Wendy here that's saying that they missed the informational webinars. Is there a recording that I can watch? Yes, we record all of our webinars, including this one. If you're registered for a webinar, we do send you a recording of that as well as the slides afterwards. If you didn't get that for some reason, you're able to search for them on our blog. We have a webinar area where you can find those pretty easily. There's quite a few check-in webinars. And then the other one there, Mary.
Just go to Google and type RunSignup webinars, and you can find all the webinars and also past webinars there, and then there'll be a link there from there to the recording.
Mm-hmm. And then a question from Mary saying, my walk will take place in a week. Is it too late to use the CheckIn app? Absolutely not. You know, the CheckIn app comes with the default setup that works right out of the box. At the end of this webinar, we will show you a little slide there, and that will also be in the slides sent to you for the recording with a bunch of resources there that would be helpful for both you and your volunteers to take a look at. There's one in there that's about a 6-minute video from Kevin and Andrew that is a really good training tool that I think everybody should be sending to their volunteers in particular.
I can grab the next couple here. Sorry. Andrew asks, how quickly do signups show on the Race Day Check-in app? I'm asking because this is my first year and runners sign up on Race Day. I want to know when I need to shut down registration so no one registers and I can't see them in the Race Day Check-in app before the race begins. This is a great question. We're constantly syncing with RunSignup. So every 30 seconds, we automatically pull in new registrations that have come in onto runsignup.com into the app. And when you're on the participant list, if you pull down with your thumb, pull down the list, it will refresh immediately. So you don't really have to worry about shutting down registration at a certain time. The data is automatically going to come into the app within 30 seconds at most. And even if you're worried about that, you can just pull down and it will come through. So it should be there and available to you almost immediately.
Yeah, and you want to take the next one too? Yeah.
Yeah, the next one here, Jaslyn's asking, this will be our first time using RunSignup for our event. What is the best practice for both testing ahead of time and training volunteers? I would say Soren mentioned there's a video that we have out there that Kevin Lai made that gives you like a rundown for how volunteers can use the app for the first time. But also, some best practices, learning how to enable the app. Go ahead and enable it ahead of time. Test it out yourself. You can enable the feature to allow uncheck-ins if you wanted to check someone in and uncheck them in. But it's a pretty straightforward app to use once you get started with it. So I think if you just go ahead and watch that video on how to train your volunteers to use the CheckIn app, it'll get you almost everything you need.
So I've got a question from Melissa here saying that they've experienced with the app that if you enter a bib number, the app will automatically jump to a runner even if they're not finished typing the bib number. So instead of if the bib is 1, 2, 3, by the time they've entered 2 or 3, it's already jumped to participant 1. There's a piece in the configurations for this. So if you go to, not configurations, pardon me, my device settings. If you go to my device settings, so the little gear in the upper right-hand corner, and then my device settings, you'd be able to change what's called the exact match lookup. The exact match lookup is how quickly it jumps to something if there is an exact match, meaning, if there is a bib 1, how quickly it would jump to bib 1 if you hadn't put the 2 in yet. And you can change that, and that's device specific. So you can go fast, medium, slow, or you can just have that left off and hit the search manually for that one.
Let's jump in here. I'll say this is not usually a problem for if you're looking someone up by name. It can happen then. But if you're looking someone up by bib number, like it sounds like you are for your use case, I almost would always recommend that you completely disable it, because you're always going to run into issues where you're typing in a number and it matches on the third character when you're typing in 4. So most people using the CheckIn app, when they're typing in search terms, they're usually using it for a dynamic bib assignment, and they aren't looking by bib number. So I would probably suggest, if you're planning on doing all searching by bib numbers, that you just disable that completely or set it to slow.
Mm-hmm. And then Jennifer has asked, when they're checking in riders, it shows the free t-shirt size. They'd also like to add in what they purchased in the store. Yep, you would edit that in the preset, and you can show store purchases or add-ons, depending on how you've got that configured. But you can definitely show that, and it'll also show what options they've selected and the count, if there are multiple there.
I can get the next couple here.
Mm-hmm.
So Sherry is asking, this is our first year to time our race and use race day check-in. Our timer is helping out by assigning bib numbers and chip numbers and do last-minute assignments. With that in mind, what is your suggestion to set a cutoff time for grace time at check-in? So I think that this is going to have to be a question that you and your timer talk about. It kind of depends on how late the timer can get the data from RunSignup, if I'm understanding the question correctly. If it's that you want to have enough grace time for the timer to have the bib assignments up at RunSignup, it kind of depends on if they're pulling the data manually or if they're automatically getting it. So I guess I would just check with your timer and see how early they need the bib assignments at RunSignup. Soren, does that sound right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you're working with your timer on this already, continue to work with your timer. That's ultimately the stakeholder who is going to be needing those assignments. If they have software that integrates directly, that's great, and their answer might be, I don't know, like 10 minutes after the gun goes off. But it may differ based on their setup there. So keep your timer happy. Yeah. So a couple very kind words in there, so thank you for everyone. I am trying to go back and find the date that we did the past check-in webinar. As soon as I find that, I will let you know and interject there. But we've got a question here from Danny saying, since you can check in close to start time, be using the app solely for timing, will it automatically get the last minute updates as well? I assume you mean the mobile backup or mobile timing in either backup or score and publish mode. That's going to be a little bit different because it's going to populate them. It's got to go to space and then come back down from space, so to speak. So you can open that a little bit later for that. Worst case, you can also edit information in the score and publish app. If you want to grab the next one, I'll keep finding that date.
Yeah, sure. I had a question from Kimberly about, they say, is there a way to use race day sign up in advance of the race for registering runners at another event? I'm not quite sure I understand the question, so I'll try and answer as best I can. If you're looking to provide race day registration at an event for a different one, I guess race is what I'm thinking. Most people would set up a QR code to allow people to scan and register on their own devices to do race day signups. So if you're asking if you could create or have a way for people to register for a totally different race on site at another race, then I might recommend a QR code with that registration link embedded into it that you could post up at your check-in area so that people can register for that different event. Let me know if that's completely misunderstanding the question. But it's similar to some others that we've gotten before. Then I got a follow-up from Tammy. This is a follow-up about the questions about editing bib numbers. If they use the preset options that I mentioned, can they still assign bib numbers during registration and not beforehand? So I guess I'm not sure what you mean then by during registration in comparison to not beforehand, because registration is before the check-in process. So maybe I'm misunderstanding what you mean by registration there. But in any case, you can assign the bib numbers during check-in. You can also assign them before check-in during the registration process when they actually pay with their credit card, or at any time. So you can do it any way you like there. There's no restrictions around that.
Just to interject here, I did find the date. It was on September 4th was the previous webinar for those who were looking based on the date there.
I also included it in the chat. There's a link to it, and we'll include it in the follow-up email.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks, Shelley. Where were we at on the question queue there, Avery?
The next one was from Gavin.
Okay.
And I can take it if you want to grab the ones above. So they're asking, on an Android phone, I need to go to the Play Store to access the app every time. It doesn't live in my phone. Can I fix this? I'm honestly, I haven't heard that question. I haven't had that come up before myself. I would.
Yeah. So what that is for Android, depending upon the version of Android or the hardware that you have, our app is not compatible. And so, yeah, technology is definitely moving along. If you don't find it in the App Store, that means that your platform is probably not compatible. Send an email into support and we can double check that version. Go to your phone and look at the software version under About Phone or About Tablet.
Yeah. Go ahead and send an email. I'll send you the account. It's info@runsignup.com is where you'd want to send more support related questions like this one, and we'll get with you.
Yeah. Got a question from Tammy here again, saying, going kind of relating to the earlier question about editing bib numbers. If you preset the options for bib assignment, you can have bibs be assigned at the time of registration or dynamically. It really can handle any setup. Keeping in mind that the source of truth for this ultimately is going to come back to RunSignup. We're all operating on the same set of participant data there. So if someone's assigned a bib number when they register, it'll show up in the app. If you assign it in the app, that will show up on RunSignup and vice versa. And then a question about QR codes here from Jennifer. We use QR codes and assign when they show up. I don't remember the earlier context on that, but if you're using QR codes, just make sure that you have the camera going. You'll be able to look up pieces like that. I'm going to go find the earlier context for that one.
Okay, I can take this one. I had one come from Camille. They ask a very good question. What happens if the check-in device goes offline? So we have a system with all our apps where we are basically queuing any data that is been updated on the device locally. So on the device itself, we make sure that we keep track of any changes that happened. And because we know we're working in environments with poor cell service, sometimes network outages, you're never going to be at risk of losing that data. It's always stored locally, and then whenever we have access, we dump the queue and send it to RunSignup. So we always are going to be in sync. You always have that data stored locally. And if the device is in a state where it's not syncing for a period of time, it'll actually show a banner at the top and say, changes not syncing. There'll be a link there, and you can click it, and it'll show you the list of pending changes that you have. It's called queued edits. And basically, it's all the changes that this device has made since the last time it was able to connect. And eventually, if you get connection again, that list will clear out. But it is a way for you to go back to the list. If you, for whatever reason, this device just totally is busted, you can't get connected ever again, you can manually make those changes if needed. But don't worry if it's just an intermittent network access issue. Eventually, once you get that access back, you'll be good to go.
I did find the context. Jennifer was asking about, are you able to show store items if looking up through QR code? Yes. Looking up participants does not determine what's displayed. What is displayed for a participant is driven by the preset and the configuration selection of the preset for their registration event. Got a question here from Skip. Is there a way to show all participants in the data, or show all participants in the database in all events, but prevent a specific event from being assigned race numbers? For example, virtual runners receiving a race number. Yes, there's a couple different ways you can do this. One way would be to make sure that you have bib validation and that only certain ranges are assigned for certain events. Another way to do this is, if you didn't want to show them at all, which I know is not the question, but just for broader context, you can actually decide to hide specific registration events in the configuration. In this case, what you'd want to do if you don't want to have a number assignment at all for your virtual participants is in the preset for your participants, skip the bib number assignment. You have the option to skip, require, or optional for the bib number, and you can set that to skip just for your virtual events. And just keeping in mind that presets determine the behavior for a specific event, and configurations are collections of presets.
Got a question from Camille about, they're saying the t-shirt size for volunteers using the CheckIn app is not available. Could I confirm? So I'm not sure if you're asking if it's like you're not able to see t-shirts for participants, or if you're using the volunteer check-in side of race day check-in. If you're using the CheckIn app to actually check in the volunteers themselves, then you're right. T-shirt size is not something that's available. It's not displayed in the CheckIn app. So that would be correct.
I can grab this one from Kimberly. They want to have a table outside of the school 2 weeks in advance to help people sign up. Yep, you can have the check-in period be kind of as wide or as narrow as you want. And if you're kind of putting that together with registration, you could also have potentially a computer set up there in maybe a fast registration mode that's not requiring them to input a password or be logged in to use that.
Next one from Rick. So their event is in a hollow with challenging connectivity. My timer and I have agreed to not do race day registrations. Have you seen snafus with poor Wi-Fi access in backcountry events? It definitely happens, and there's not much that you can do about it if you really absolutely are not going to have access to network connectivity on site. And so that'd be a situation where you might want to reconsider relying on the CheckIn app to do your bib assignments. And if that's the case, you might want to talk to your timer to see if the software that they're using has an easy way to do a direct bib assignment into their software. But that's a discussion that you kind of got to have with your timer. Alternatively, look into Starlink is a great option these days, even just renting one for that day if you're able to do it. They perform very well for those kind of scenarios where even mobile internet is not a possibility.
Finding the next question there from Robert. We have pre-assigned numbers and chips for all pre-registered runners for race day morning, but we have day of race registration. In the past, it has been paper-based, and the timers manually entered the names and bibs, but we're moving to race day online registration and race day check-in to assign the same day bib and chip numbers. Is this covered in the race day check-in video, and can you send a direct link to the video? There are links to these videos that are going to be at the resources slide at the end of this webinar, and those will be sent out with the recording later on. But as far as doing kind of pre-assigned and then assigning on site, yep, totally great way to do things there. Just keeping in mind that you will want to make sure that you're confirming the right bib number if you're using the CheckIn app for people who are pre-assigned, and then going through the steps of requiring a bib number so that those people who registered after that cutoff are still assigned a bib number for your timer. Generally speaking, I don't recommend assigning chips in the CheckIn app, but having that as a separate bib and chip mapping. That's going to vary depending on your timer a little bit, though. So kind of one of the addendums or the unsaid pieces of a lot of this is make sure that you're on the same page as your timer.
I'm just going to answer Tammy's question here. So they are, not quite understanding. So they're at check-in on site if someone pre-registered and they are not assigning bib numbers during registration, and they need to check someone in, they assign bib 123, and then at a later time they need to change it to 124 on site. Is that possible? Yep, and it'd be the same thing. So either you can enable the preset option to allow clearing bib numbers. So you go into that bib number 123 and you say clear, and then you could assign it back to 124. Or you can enable the function to allow bib number updates, and then you would just go to their record, go to update participant info, that new button that will appear, and you can just change the 123 to a 124 in that way.
Mm-hmm. I've got another question from Gavin here saying that they use this app a couple times a month. When they use the app, if it is closed out completely, they need to go back to the Play Store, search for it, and then open it again. You might just need to add that back to wherever your device is. This is the app. It just stays on your phone. When you open it, it should have a set of all of the races that you have downloaded on there and their databases as they're downloaded on there. If you're deleting the app, you would have to go through this process again. If you clear the database or delete the database from within the app, which is a pretty intentional step, you would lose it that way too. But out of the box, that's not an expected behavior. If you do continue to experience that, please, again, reach out to info@runsignup.com. That is the inbox for support of this app.
Take this one from Allison. So they're asking a good question. Is it okay to use the CheckIn app on a phone while also using the web check-in on the laptop? Even early check-in the day before race day, and are wondering if they can use both in unison. Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Feel free. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that. The CheckIn app can be in unison, whether it's using race day, the web check-in version, or it's someone in the back end of the dashboard making quick changes there, or it's multiple people using the race day check-in at once. It's designed to work in tandem with any number of those. So you don't have to worry about data getting overwritten or anything like that.
We've got a question from Melissa about if you can set the exact match lookup to default to offer slow. That's a device level setting. That's not something that you have control of in a preset or a configuration. So you'd have to, when you're training your volunteers, make sure that they set that, because again, that's going to be device specific, not something that's up in a cloud layer there as well. And then we have a question from Monica here. When I go to the check-in stats, back to quick check-in, I kept forgetting the race and had to research the event to go back into it. Is there a way to skip this step? I think the question got cut off there, but to jump back and forth between races, you just select them on your home screen, if I'm understanding that one properly.
I just want to go back to Melissa's question. So while it is a device level my device setting, you can set this on the configuration itself. So it's possible to override it locally on your device using my device settings, but you can set the exact match lookup speed to whatever you want on the configuration. And what that will do is make it the default for anyone when they use that configuration. So Melissa, you can go ahead and create a new configuration right now with that setting set to slow or off. And when volunteers use the app, they'll be prompted to pick a configuration and have them use the one that you created, and it will have that setting applied by default.
Go and grab Andrew's as well. While Avery's looking at that, just because he's going to be a little bit more able to answer the technical side of that, I'll take this question from David saying that can you use QR codes on the bib to also be used to find results? Yes, you would have to use a very specific URL for that, or you can also use the CheckIn app and change its configuration to be a results kiosk. Those QR codes, the way that we look up a bib number from the QR code on a bib is basically it has to be at the end of the URL after a hash. So you could have, runsignup.com/race/ID/blah blah 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 hash 3001, and it would see 3001 and it does the lookup. There is a specific format. It's a little hard to just toss up on the screen on the fly, that you can use to bring you to the result for that bib. And you could use that with your bib printer to handle that lookup. Otherwise, if you want a little bit simpler method, again, like using the CheckIn app, and then once check-in's over, turning them over to result configuration is a great way to get a little bit more bang for your buck out of the devices you're using.
So Andrew is asking, can you help me locate the place in the app to remove devices logged in? I want to delete old volunteers' devices as they are no longer involved in the race. There's no way to do this currently, and it's just not how the system works at this time. So what we usually recommend for people, if you're managing a large volunteer group or even just a few, is in your process, just have them, learn how to load the race up, and then teach them how to delete the race once they've done the testing, once they've finished the day, so that they don't have that data around in their device after it's completed. But yeah, there's no way to say I want to revoke access from a given login. It's just not how the system is set up.
I've got a question from Jaslyn. We don't use bib numbers. Is there a way to skip that screen at check-in? Yep, under your preset for the events that you're skipping the bib number for, when you choose bib number, again, you have the 3 options: require, skip, or optional. Just set that to skip, and it will skip that step and go right to checking the participant in there. Then another question here from David Halloran. Hey, David. The reason the Android user can't find the app is because they're looking for an app called Race Day Check-In, but Race Day is not the name of the app. It's just called Check-In. It should be in the store as Race Day Check-In. You can also, I believe, search for RunSignup on it, but it's ranked pretty high, so it shows up pretty quickly.
I think I see what he's saying. He's saying, like, if you are on your phone, and I'm doing it right now with Android, if you search for Race Day, it doesn't show up as a suggestion on my app. But if I just say check-in, it does. Yeah. So maybe that solves your problem, Gavin.
That kind of puts us at the end of the current question queue. So feel free to keep pouring them in. We do have a little bit longer, but I'll kind of move to that support slide just in case anything's coming in there. So this is a collection here of a couple webinars, including that one that we just did. The CheckIn app, also label printing has become a common request or question about, so we have a whole webinar on that. And then some YouTube shorts there as far as like how to use the CheckIn app, how you can use it to speed things up, some basics for volunteers. That's the one that we've mentioned with Kevin Lai. How to uncheck in participants, how to lock and unlock the app, and then a couple support items. One is the info at email address, should you need that. And then the other is getting support directly from the app. You can do that via the upper left-hand corner 3-bar menu and then going to get support. And that's going to be a really good way to do that if you're having issues with a specific device, because that's going to give us a little bit more information there. And then we just got a question coming in from Mary is, how are participants notified that mobile app web check-in is available? That's really going to be up to you as the organizers communicating with your participants, kind of how packet pickup is going to work. Races are ultimately a little bit different can be regionally different. Maybe it's different for one series from another series. So you really will kind of have to dictate that to them. But I do encourage you to have a section on your website and your pre-race emails about packet pickup and how they can expect to get their bib or get their bib number assigned if you're doing dynamic bib.
Just following up on that, I want to make sure that there's not a misunderstanding. It sounds like you might think that the mobile app or web check-in is a way for participants to check themselves in, and that is not the case. So the web check-in and mobile, Race Day check-in mobile app it's all about a volunteer or a staff member checking in the participants using our app. It's not offering participants a way to do it themselves at home or anything like that, just to be clear.
Well, we have another little lull here. I'm going to jump. I've got some extra slides kind of tacked on here. But I want to just touch on some best practices. So a couple best practices while we're in there. It's QR codes are really lifesavers for kind of everyone. QR codes are a great way to make sure that you're assigning the proper bib number if you're doing it dynamically. Also keep in mind that we do have a pre-built packet pickup bib number email or participant lookup email. We have what we call a replacement tag that you're able to put into emails you build yourselves. And they're also featured in a couple of our templates. This is going to allow you and your volunteers to use the camera in the app to look up the participant by that QR code. And that's going to be a lot faster. You know, if you have a large race and you ask, oh, hi, what's your name? And they say John, that might require some follow-up versus just scanning that piece there. It's also good to have those QR codes on bibs. If you're unfamiliar with this, reach out to your bib printer or your timer if your timer is the one ordering your bibs for you. You can, you know, again, and this is highlighted in a couple of those videos, have multiple configurations. So you could have one that's specific for your volunteers and a configuration that's specific to your paid staff or leads. You know, another thing that's important is if you are doing dynamic bib assignment, notating the name on the back of the bib. Include that giveaway shirt size and details in there, and then include registration ID, which can be really helpful. If you have something that you're doing for your event that just isn't available in the CheckIn app, having that ID is a great way to link to the participant's actual registration information. Couple other best practices there. Set up a bib validation if you haven't already. This is done on RunSignup. You can just search in that bar for bib validation, but make sure that you're setting the ranges there. If you can see on the right here, if a bib is not within the valid range, it will let your volunteer know. So if someone accidentally types an extra digit in there or misses a digit, this can really save you from having a bib assigned incorrectly. Let's see.
Question. I can take this one from Karen.
Yeah,
please. Yeah. So Karen's asking. There's been talk about an update to the volunteer module on RunSignup. Any news about this? And it's funny. We just had a company meeting where one of the developers on this project is actually giving us a live demo of the new volunteer module. So it's very fitting that you asked this question. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer as to exactly when it's going to be available. I don't suspect it's going to be very soon, like this fall, but I would imagine sometime in the winter or spring, we would start seeing it live. It will be a significant change. It's going to be hosted on a different dashboard completely, but it'll be linked to the race. So there's some cool things that'll be coming with that, and it'll take some time for all those changes to make their way into the CheckIn app as well. But eventually we'll get there. So progress is definitely being made on that, Karen, and it's very exciting.
It looks really cool too, just from the meeting. So a couple other best practices while we're here. If you haven't already, or if you don't have this in your plan, test this. Test the check-in flow. You can uncheck in and clear out that information as well. But you as the organizer should really have a good feel for what this looks like for your volunteers and what this looks like for the participants as they come in and check in. So make sure you do some tests there. As you're training your volunteers, just keep in mind that a lot of those volunteers are either going to be participating themselves, or will probably ask if they can pick up for someone that's participating, or you'll have, you know, the early birds who are there 2 hours before packet pickup opens. Great way to kind of give them what they're hoping for and also get a nice like training round. Check them in and do a real check-in with your volunteers. And then one other big piece here, if you have Relay, events, make sure that you have a different preset for your relay than for your individual participation events, because they do behave a lot differently. It's kind of slowing down in there, so I'm going to reiterate just in case anyone joined us a little late there. Just keeping in mind and reiterating this, because this is kind of the hurdle everyone has to get over before they start doing anything, is that you must enable the CheckIn app in RunSignup before your race will appear in the app. And again, reiterating this, passwords must be set. And again, please do not use your RunSignup password for this, because this is something you're sharing with other people. But do set a password and a password hint. Again, we recommend that password hint is the actual password for the app. No one will be able to see this page unless they are able to, be in this dashboard, which means that people who have race director level access. So again, like having your password hint as your shared password is going to help us on the support side if you do need anything looked at there. And also that date range, just reiterating that date range must, you must be within that date range if you're going to have the race showing in the app. And again, if you renew that race, that date range does not change. So you will have to update that year after year. And then also making sure that you're not disabling it before kind of a grace period for participants who show up late. All right. I think I'll kind of put up a last call for questions there. We've been running about 40 some minutes, which is a good amount of time. And hopefully we've answered everybody's questions that come with some there. But if you do have further questions, again, don't hesitate to reach out. info@runsignup.com is a good way to do that. You can also book one-on-one training time if you have very specific setups that you want to work through. Can you show what the CheckIn app icon looks like? Yeah, it looks like the R here. It is a green one that's pretty much just this. If your app icon does not look like that, you should update your app as well. All right, just a reminder, we will email out this recording and these slides, including those links to previous webinars, YouTube shorts, and so forth sometime later today. And thank you all for taking the time to join us and to poke around in the CheckIn app.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Some really great questions today. Hope to hear from you again soon.